call to order the October 19th, 2022 regular meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority. At this time, we will have public comment. Is there anybody that wants to address? Yes, Carol.
This could be a question, or Carol Hennessy, Royal Oak, Michigan, or a request. Is there going to be a float for the veterans for the Christmas parade?
I don't think we know the answer to that.
I do not.
We met with Julie Law, but she didn't tell us
Who was participating?
Yeah, we don't have that information on what she's secured for the parade yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then I would like to make it a suggestion, if you could pass on to her, that you should have a float for the veterans, because you did in the past. And I just thought it'd be a nice idea to have them in the parade.
I can ask her.
I'm sure we can get that information to her.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Anybody else want to address the board today? Yes, Mr. Holbrook.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Frank Hobrecht, and I own a commercial building at 408 South Washington. It's on today's agenda for the alley improvement, or alley something. This has been something that's been going on, and I want to share with you, I've been here a year, and we're still struggling. The rats are still there. It's just a nightmare. But I want to show that we need to get past the do-nothing alternative. I've got a letter here from 2005, 17 years ago. Code enforcement threatened me with a civil infraction and appearance in the 44th District Court. I mean, this is how ludicrous this idea is, of a code enforcement officer taking me to court for repairing pavement in a public alley. This gentleman took me to court for at least 10 times. Everything from not painting a brick to rats to, he had me arrested for not having a permit for a tenant that I evicted. So there's some serious issues here. I want to bring up another thing, is that the parking, another clear example of the failure of the parking system. Yesterday afternoon, customer of Monica's Blue Dress Shop, she was trying to pay for a parking spot, had her credit card stuck in the robot, the ATM, couldn't get the thing out. She called the police. She said, I don't want to leave with my credit card still stuck in this robot. Couldn't get the thing out. We waited. I said, let me get you some quarters. Let's try the quarters. Nothing. One quarter after another. Just went right straight through. This is about 20 minutes. This is just one customer. And then I was showing the space to a guy who's looking for office. He says, let's try another robot. And fortunately, we have two robots in front of our building. One's closer to the 5th. And that robot released her from her blinking red light. She was already in violation. So she was just picking up something. She goes, I'm just going to be in and out, 5 minutes. I know the 5-minute rule. Now I got a $20 ticket to pick up this one garment. Not a happy individual. Fortunately, it was parking spot number 2916. You can look this thing up. I got her liberated, got the green. She gave me a big hug. She was really happy. And the interesting thing is that I was there 2 weeks ago on Yom Kippur. It was a beautiful day. We were painting one of the doors. And between 10:30, we got there from 10:30, we left at 12:30. I'm going to say 6, maybe 7 people were all mystified by the robot. Nobody could make it work. And these are just like my customers for Palazzolos and Robin and Lily's had opened at 12 noon. Nobody can make this thing work. I assisted, I got them all through, showed them how to make it work. One woman was trying to shove a dollar bill into the robot. Yeah. And the thing is that even like yesterday, 2 people came up, couldn't make the thing work. They're from Canton, Michigan. They're not coming back. They've had enough. It's just a frustrating experience. It was cold, it was wet, and, you know, after you've done it 10, 20 times, you can get through it pretty quick. But these are predominantly older people during the day, and we're lucky that we're there because every customer counts. I'm going through an eviction right now with one of my tenants. I'm trying to hold on, but there's just no customers. We are taking a big hit because of this reverse somersault angle thing and the instant tickets and. So I'm focused on the alley today. Please get this thing done. But we've got to do something about this parking. We are losing. If I stand in front of my building, I see 6 empty storefronts. 6. And who's going to come back? Yeah. So, thank you.
Just
Thank
like
you.
that, it's not just old people. I deal with this every single day. It's people younger. It's teenagers. It's 20 years old, 30s. The parking is not intuitive. Everyone struggles with it.
There was a woman that came from Bloomfield. She had 2 people. She wanted to go to breakfast because it was, you know, they had the day off for Yom Kippur. Cool. Could not make it work. Even the kid, who's like 9th grade algebra, he says, "Oh, I can do this." I said, "Okay." Couldn't do it. She was trying to pay with American Express. I guess it doesn't take Amex. I'll be the first one to throw a couple quarters in there to keep people alive, but it's a failure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else want to address the board? Sure, we'll allow that.
I get emotional when I talk about my veterans, so excuse me. But I just want to continue on with his talking about the parking. Are we really paying a company to come to see why they're not working and it's going to take 2 years? That's what I'm hearing from the city commission. Or did they cancel?
The only thing I can
No,
tell
we
you,
have a parking
Ms. Hennessy,
study.
is city commission would know. They're the ones that are leading this and heading this. So, I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of the city commission in any way, shape, or form. My best advice would be to address all the concerns and comments directly to them, either through administration or through them directly. I'm sure they're willing to listen.
Unless you're referring to the parking study, the DDA did fund a parking study around this issue, around the downtown district.
Okay.
And we will be getting those results back hopefully soon.
Well, no, I was talking, I mean, that's good. I'm glad that you're doing that. But the city commission says something about a 2-year, it's going to take 2 years for them to do a study on the park. Well, let me tell you, in 2 years,
No one's going to be there.
no one's going to be here anymore. You know, I mean, I was a frequent restaurant person in Royal Oak and went to a lot of places. And because of my handicap now, I don't go as many places, but it's ridiculous because I try to those meters and they don't work, you know, and you get disgusted, you know, and people aren't going to want to come back. And to take 2 years to do a study to find out why people aren't coming back to Royal Oak is going to be too late. So I just, well, you guys know I come down there, you know, and I don't come down as often anymore, unless someone can drop me off and pick me up so I don't have to park, because I don't want another ticket and I don't want to have to go to the police station or to the courthouse and fight my ticket. You know, so I'm willing to pay, but not when they won't accept my money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no one else, I will close public comment. And move on to the next agenda item, approval of the meeting minutes from September 21, 2022.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Director Roswick,
I second.
second by Director London. Any questions for staff? Any questions regarding the minutes, changes? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Item number 4 is expense items. This report is for informational purposes. Anything for staff that needs clarification? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 5 is the 45-day review for Arts, Beats, and Eats. You want me to take this, Tim, or you want to?
Well, I can start.
Okay.
Jennifer Sutton's here on behalf of Arts, Beats, and Eats. The agreement that the DDA is party to with the city and Arts, Beats, and Eats requires that they give you an update and overview of within 45 days after the event. You've got their summary, and like I said, Jennifer's here if you have questions or comments to go over that. But I don't have anything to add. I don't know if Daniel's got anything he wants to add or comment on, but.
No.
I guess I have a comment. We had a review of another event into our committee. This did not come into our committee. I would think we'd want to have some opportunity to have more discussion around our big events within our committees. So
We do have that option. We can send this back to committee. Just to be clear, the reason Jennifer's here today is to meet the requirement of the contract for the 45-day review. If there's more work that needs to be done or some questions or discussion that needs to take place, we can definitely send this back to committee and do it in that forum.
I'll support that motion.
I would like to send this back to committee.
Okay.
Support.
Motion by Director Rosbeck, seconded by Director Yesbick. Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to be able to direct staff to get feedback to this 45-day review from business owners in the area. I definitely think some of their improvements are good ones, but they're not necessary. They're more around the event itself and maybe not around what we have in terms of challenges for our downtown. So.
Okay.
That'll be prepared for the November marketing committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then Jennifer, just for your knowledge, Daniel will be in contact with you when that meeting is scheduled. And hopefully somebody from your team can be available.
We will be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, with no other discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, item number 6, Hanukkah menorah lighting. I don't know if this, Tim or Daniel?
I drafted it. This was an item that did go to the Marketing Business Relations Committee. The committee did meet on it and discuss the request. The DDA has provided funding in the past, and in the year 2020 and the year 2021, in the amount of $5,400 for the event. At this time, the petitioner applicant was requesting an increase to of $10,000. The committee, on a split vote, indicated that $2,800 with one at $5,300, basically to cover the same items listed as in the past, which were the menorah, the stage, and the city permits. That's based on their budget. So it kind of was a split vote at the committee. You do have a suggested resolution with a blank in the cover memo that the board can act on and allocate revenues if it sees fit.
Okay. So knowing what the action the committee has taken, does anybody want to bring anything to the table at
Can I
this
ask
time?
a question?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Why do you have to buy a new menorah every year? Don't you reuse the same one?
So this year we're doing something different. We try to do it more like interesting, not the same one. This year we want to do Lego menorah, which will bring a lot of kids, and you also do like kind of pre-event in our center to bring people to build it together, and it's more attractive. And we actually have an uncle that did the same thing in California, and it was very successful. Like we do it all over the world, and we thought it would be a good idea to do it, and then we could use the Lego, you know, for like school or whatever, like a good cause. And again, the idea is like to be able to get more young families and new people to join this event, and that's one of the ways.
You can tell us that in the committee. And also, is it still in that parking lot on Main Street?
So this year we're planning to do it in Washington. We still have to get a final approval from the police, but we always could just do it next to the parking lot like we did last year. Actually, the first year we did on 5th Street, but it's not available right now in the last 2 years. And then during COVID we did a drive-in. That's why we used the parking lot. But this year I wish to do it on Washington, not like between 4th to 5th, and we'll see if it's not possible. We could do it like we did last year, which is more simple and not gonna need like extra approval from the police or anything like that.
So you haven't gotten approval from the police yet?
No, but
Okay.
we, based on last few years, like we know already the process and they know already about the event in general. There's not a big changes. Last year when I came here, it was also still before the approval. But to my understanding, if we keep the same type of event, there is usually not big.
Well, you haven't closed Washington before, because I'm on Washington.
Well, we didn't, right?
Right.
We did
So
all.
now you say you want it on Washington.
Right.
But
I'm saying if it'll make big issues and they're gonna say, "Oh, it'll take you 6 months process," now I'm gonna do it in the same place like before. If they will be comfortable with me doing this in Washington, like I want to do, we're just gonna move it. Since last year, we also did a small change, but they didn't ask for a lot of approval because they said it's almost the same event, just like small changes. So it depends on the, whatever the police decide on the spot. Like it's not like a black and white.
Okay, at this time, any questions for the petitioner? Okay, if you'll just hold on a couple of minutes here, we'll see if there's any action or not.
So I'm part of the committee, but I was the one member. So I'll make the motion. It can be changed, but I'm going to make the motion to approve the items for the menorah, the stage, and the city permit by the DDA.
That amount would be,
5,300, I believe.
I currently have a motion from Director Rosbeck. Is there a second? Okay, hearing none. Does anybody else want to bring anything forward? Director Yasmic.
Yeah, I was on the other side of that committee, and the reasoning is just it's a great event, and we love events downtown, but the amount of support has to be tied to the amount of business, the amount of draw that the event brings to the downtown, and we haven't experienced, as businesses, haven't experienced much of an impact for these events. And I think if you were able to generate some more traffic, roaming around through the downtown, maybe going in stores, somehow circulating around the downtown, it would be an easier or an opportunity that we can justify some more support. But we do want to help, and that's why we tied it to the city permits and the cost of the menorah to try to help to some extent.
When you say to go to stores around downtown, what do you
Yes,
mean?
just circulating around the downtown. We do events in the downtown to bring people to the downtown to benefit the businesses downtown.
We're
Right, so-
expecting foot traffic to help go into other, go into the businesses within our district.
This year it's on Christmas Day, just doesn't note it.
And most
Already
places
closed.
will not be open.
Right.
Right, so there's different ways to look in this event. You could look even on the number of people that came in the same very moment, or how many people use this event to go to another store. Or you could look on first that you bring a different type of event to your downtown, and now people that usually come to your downtown, they feel comfortable with your place. So if you look in the area, you have like downtown Detroit, for example, they have like the biggest menorah lighting. They do it every year because this is like the big menorah lighting in the area. And then you have, like for example, Birmingham or Ferndale, they don't have something in their downtown. So if someone that you have to pick any downtown that you feel more comfortable. So even if, let's say, you never came to the event, but you see advertising, and I know the community, right? So I know people talking about it, even if they were out of town, they know about the event. And then they see, oh, this is a place that I feel comfortable, this is a place that doing this kind of event, and I'm really happy about it. So I want to come to, I feel that's like my place. If you have someone that happy to host you, so you come another time. So you could look at this like black and white, who is working in this very moment, and how many people buying in the store, and I'm sure that many events, even that the DDA is spending much more money. It's not like the only way to measure, how much support. In the end of the day, people come for a certain event with young kids. They're not gonna start to shop now. They come for like hour and a half. It's already late for them. It's finished. They go home. Like it's not necessarily, they're gonna need it now in a restaurant. They just ate something in the event. The idea, they come, they see, even it's new people that never come here. Many of them come from like Bloomfield Hills, West Bloomfield. You have also the neighborhoods like Huntington Woods, Birmingham, and they come, they feel comfortable here, and then you have the new people that come here, they see the place. Some people, even investors, they come to town and they see what's going on and they think about investing in the city or stuff like that. And so there's many ways the city benefit from that, and even if they see it on the news, it's already, like there's so many ways they get to know about it. And again, even advertising, they hear about the city, they hear the name of the city, they hear this city hosts this event. I feel comfortable with this place, and so yes, it's not like
I think
just how many
$3,000
people.
is still a generous
Yeah.
contribution.
Yeah, I'm totally appreciate
Okay.
what they were able to do, and just that was like based on like last few years, and that's what you picked. That was the number that the DDA approved.
Okay, let's see
It
if-
wasn't even what I asked for, so.
Let's see if there's any action here at the table, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Do you do that when there's already a motion? Can you make another motion, or?
Yes, my motion didn't go through.
There was
Well,
no
the motion
support.
didn't go through.
There was no
So
support.
it's open right now. If anybody wants to bring anything forward, or we move on.
I will make a motion to sponsor an amount of $2,800, which is the menorah and city permit reimbursement.
I have a motion by Director Yazbek,
I'll support it.
supported by Director London. Discussion? Anybody? Director Yazbek.
We don't, when we do these kinds of bifurcated payments, you don't do the first payment until like all the permits are in place and so forth, correct?
Nothing until the special event permit has been approved.
So just for clarification, Tim, we don't need to, we can just assume that that is part of the resolution?
Correct. The special event permit's got to be blessed by the city, and then after that, the event's got to occur, and we'll pay the other half.
Okay.
And I think that we would all hope that this event grows, and then our support for the event will grow with it.
Okay. I tend to agree with Director Yazbek on this. I think the thing that I'm struggling with, and something else that the petitioner mentioned here, is, you know, the possibility of closing Washington Street. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing what the benefit is to the downtown, and the closing of a street is a big deal. And I just think that as much as I'd like to support this, I think this is the proper way to go, and we monitor this and see how it goes.
So I'm gonna support whatever motion goes through, but I do think that, you know, this is falling on Christmas Day. If they close the street, it's not going to harm any business, because it is, most of the businesses in downtown will be closed. I think that as a city, we are a diverse and culturally sensitive city, and I do believe that events like this, regardless of the day of the event, having support, we know that this community, the Jewish community, does come into our downtown and support us in other ways. They have other times of the year that they support us, and I do not think it's out of line to, I think the way we aligned the costs, I don't think it's out of line to put a stage on top of that. But I'm already been overruled on that, but I don't think we can always tie everything to sales. So I just want to be cognizant of this. I'm proud that we do these diverse events, whether they're big or small, but I do see this as gaining more momentum if we continue to do it. It won't be as big as Detroit, but I think we can continue to have the second biggest menorah lighting. So I'm in support of this.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments? Seeing none, I am going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 7, WROK Chamber of Commerce Summer Concert Series, First Amendment. Daniel?
During the 2022 event year, the chamber had to last minute cancel an event date on August 4th. Anybody who was around in downtown that day knows that it was torrential rainfall, and they made that call about 2 hours before the event was supposed to start. As part of the contract, this board asked that a minimum of 6 events happen in the 2022 year as well as the 2023 year. Due to scheduling and Arts Beats and Eats and summer really coming to a close, it was not possible for them to put a 6th event in this year's contract for the contractual obligations. So they were requesting to essentially move that into the 2023 year and guarantee 7 events for next summer at no additional cost to the DDA. But essentially, we would consider their 2022 obligations met, finish out the payments of the sponsorship from this year, and then roll into next year with them having 7 event dates and an additional date that they would be prepared to add another event at the end in case this happens again.
Okay. I do see that this was discussed at the marketing committee, and the marketing committee supports this, and there is a suggested resolution. Any questions for staff regarding this? Kind of makes sense a little to do this, so.
Did we get returned the 27,300? Was that returned to us?
So as part of this amendment, we would pay that 27,300 to finish out our payment for this year's obligations.
Okay.
And in exchange, we wouldn't be requesting that refund, but instead they would move that event into next year's event series.
So we'll get 7 events as opposed to 6 in the next round.
I just wasn't sure on the 27,300, that's all.
Okay. I'm looking for action.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Director Keith, second by Director Yazbek. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay. Item number 8, worry-free maintenance contract.
I've asked Joseph Murphy, the Director of Planning, who works closely with Worry Free, to kind of walk through the contract real briefly with you. You may recall that the contract with Worry Free is up in technically April of 2023. And the committee DDA discussed not taking that out for bid or opening it up for bid. So the staff has been working with Worry Free on a new contract for a 3-year period. And I'll kind of let Joseph highlight the items for you and the history of it. And then if you've got any questions, we'd be happy to address them.
Good evening. Well, Tim took a little thunder out of my presentation there. So we'll, as Tim noted, the contract expires and Worry Free did submit, as you'll find in the documentation provided to you, a 3-year proposal which starts in spring and goes through a spring. That's a maintenance season for us. In the memo, you'll find the approximate cost that the DDA has budgeted and is going to expend this maintenance season, and in comparison to their proposal for year 1, 2, and 3. The DDA has been in contract with Worry Free since 2008. So I think there's a useful table in the memo which highlights what their labor cost per hour has been throughout that time frame. And you'll notice that the proposal for starting year 1 next year, there's a significant price increase. And the Infrastructure Committee met in October and discussed that. And you'll see that there's no increase for year 2024 and then a 3% increase for 2025. The maintenance, as everyone can attest to who has a business or has solicited services, costs for labor has gone up. And Jeff, president of Worry Free, is here if you have any questions specific to that, but the price for labor has indeed gone up. So have materials, and in the memo you'll see notes with regard to the type of materials that the DDA buys and the quantity and a per unit price for those. There's a comparison of what we currently pay and what we will pay. The one thing that I will note is that their price per unit of mulch, topsoil, flowers, all those items that we purchase, it's the same for the 3-year proposal. There is no increase every year thereafter. It's one increase for next year, flat rate for the next 2 years. Worry Free started taking care of Centennial Commons in July of this year, and the proposal for the next 3 years includes dedicating 30 man-hours a week in order to continue to cut the grass, pick up the litter, weed, do lawn fertilizer applications. And Henry Ford Health System provides the city with a $50,000 donation associated with taking care of the park. Incorporating this component into Worry Free's contract is contingent upon the city commission continuing to funnel the money through to the DDA so that it can pay for taking care of the park. And you'll see their costs specifically broken out for the park. There's a no increase for year 2 and a slight increase for the 3rd year. There are a couple of areas, especially on South Main Street, just south of Kenilworth, The DDA had funded putting in landscaping in the median. Landscaping trees did very well for the first few years. They have since died other than one, I think. So there's a price proposal that the Infrastructure Committee is recommending approval of for DDA, for Worry Free to remove those trees, plant some perennials, and then plant summer flowers on an annual basis as well. There are also some areas around the perimeter of Centennial Commons and City Hall which have some underperforming landscape beds. And so there's a proposal from Worry Free in there, a cost to plant with perennials as well as summer flowers. And so you'll see a suggested motion if you're in agreement with the 3-year contract extension, you'll see a suggested motion for that, as well as a suggested motion for the dollar amount, the budget adjustment to this fiscal year in order to accomplish that.
Thank you, John. Okay, questions for staff? Not seeing any. We did discuss this at length at the Infrastructure Committee. The committee is in support of this for a number of reasons. We've had good success with Worry Free in the past, and we want to maintain that. We've been with them for a long time. The scope of work has changed greatly over the past few years. We've included some of the perimeter areas, some of the islands, Centennial Park. There's a number of areas that we've asked Worry Free to include in their contract, which are now in there. And though there is a large increase in the labor costs, I think that we can understand that. And then I think the bottom line for the DDA is that this is approximately, I don't have the number, approximately $50,000 increase to the fund balance that we have for this particular item. So all those things being put together, we're in support of moving forward with this. Mr. Grasso, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just going to. I think we also agree that increase in labor and supply costs fall in line with industry standard. What we see, regardless of landscaping or really any business that you run, we're seeing that across the board. So it's a reasonable add.
Director Roswig.
I thought that, so it appears that we're getting, the third year is another jump. Is that just due to Centennial Commons or what? I'm not understanding that.
In terms
third
of
jump.
the labor cost, is that, I'm not sure.
No,
what-
so the beginning of this,
The top
year
bit,
1, year
yeah.
2, year 3, I just thought, I heard that the next 3 years, it would be the same cost, but year 3 looks like it's got another $12,000 jump.
And then that's associated with labor. So the labor cost for the first year
Got it.
goes up, the second year it does not, the third year it does. All the supplies do not change in their price per year.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you look at the next chart down, it shows 2025,
Yeah.
a 3%, which I think is the difference.
Got it.
And then the 53,503, that's in addition to our current contract?
Correct.
No, that's
That's
the
the
addition
budget.
for the fiscal year between April and July 1st
Of next year?
of 2023.
20, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because your
I-
fiscal year runs
Spring
July
to spring.
to June, so.
Okay, July to June,
And,
okay.
and this contract ends at the end of March, so if we're gonna extend it, we've gotta put 53,000 more towards this fiscal year.
Okay. I support. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Director Keith,
I support it.
Supported by Director LaGrasso. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, item number 9, downtown holiday window murals. Daniel.
This program mirrors what was put in place at the beginning of summer, which is we had a window artist come in and paint flowers on the front of 55 businesses. Those murals were very well received by the business community. In fact, we had at least one business, the accessory shop, told me that she experienced an uptick in her customer base just simply because people were saying that they had never noticed her storefront before, but suddenly with yellow flowers, they were intrigued to go in and check it out. This did go to the committee and was unanimously recommended for approval, and in hopes that it will help transform Royal Oak even further into a winter wonderland.
Okay, I just have one question real quick, Daniel. How are we communicating with the businesses to let them know that this program is available?
Following this meeting, I actually have a sign-up form that's going to be going out tomorrow morning where businesses that are interested in receiving this or participating in any of the other things that are later in the agenda would be able to sign up. I've been in contact with Carrie O'Neill from the Restaurant Association, and it'll go out in our business newsletter by Friday.
Okay. And then hopefully you'll be able to keep us updated on that to see what the growth is and how many people are participating.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Director Roswick,
I second.
second by Director London. Any discussion regarding this?
No, I've had a lot of positive feedback from just people like me who live in the city. They've enjoyed this. They thought it was a great creative way to dress up the downtown.
Okay. Nothing else? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask Director Rosbeck to chair the next item on the agenda,
Yes.
as I will recuse myself from this item.
Our next item on the agenda is a facade grant for the sidebar.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, the sidebar was working through the process of doing a facade grant with the infrastructure committee. Due to COVID, that never made its way all the way here, and due to supply chain issues and all of the different things that most people in the renovation and construction trades have attested to over the last couple years, prices did significantly increase. And so what you have attached is a facade grant that the infrastructure committee did see in October, and I believe did recommend for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion was made by Director Keith and second by Director Yesbeck. Any discussion? I guess I have a question. It appears usually our facade grants are for signage, but this appears to be for a garage door facade. Is that what I'm understanding?
I believe this included new awnings as well as the garage door and a new front sign as well.
Got it. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And I pass the
Okay, I
the
pass the gavel.
chairmanship back.
Thank you, Director Rosbeck. Okay, moving on the agenda, item number 11, Design Engineering Services, Fifth Avenue.
I guess I'll start this one out. You may recall that back in August, this item was in front of the board with a recommendation to select Fleiss and Vanderbroek to do the design engineering services on Fifth Avenue. That motion failed because it didn't get a majority of the overall board. There were only 5 members in attendance. And then it's been put back on the agenda today at the request of the Infrastructure Committee to give that notice. Your first order of action would be, if you wanted to put it back on the table, would be to rescind the prior action. And then it could be back on the table for further discussion of activity. If you don't want to do anything, it'll stay as a denied item. So that's where I'll leave it. Your first action would be to rescind the...
So do you rescind by making a motion to rescind?
Yes.
Director Yazbek.
Yes, after some conversations with staff and the Infrastructure Committee, specifically the chairperson, I have a better understanding of how we're going to approach this. And I think, the only concern I had is that we had the DDA had more involvement in this particular item because of the nature of it being in the downtown, where a number of our businesses are, and we're there every day and have the familiarity that I think will help this be a successful project. So I think we're going to proceed in that fashion. So I would like to make a motion to rescind my
Rescind the prior action.
Yeah, rescind the prior action.
Okay, I have a motion by Director Yazbek,
I second it.
second by Director Rossbeck. Okay, so now would be the time for discussion, or if...
Well, let's vote on it first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's
You're right.
vote on
I'm
the
sorry.
rescinding, and
Yep.
then we can put it back on the table.
Okay, my apologies.
Nope.
Okay, any discussion on the motion that's on the table? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Now your options are obviously wide open again. You do have the recommendation that was originally forwarded regarding hiring Fleiss and Vanderbroek to do the design services, or selecting them pursuant to their previous approval. You do have other options. Again, you could direct staff to rebid the project. You could recommend to the City Commission that the street remain closed, that the city simply get detailed plans and insurance and the necessary agreements from all the businesses, or you could recommend that the city reopen the street. Those are kind of your options. It's not back on the table for your directive.
Director London.
Is page 20 their proposal? I don't see a proposal drawing.
Oh, no, we're not at that stage
Oh,
yet.
not that stage yet.
But you're only hiring them to actually do the drawings. What's in the drawings isn't there yet. You're
Okay.
hiring,
I went through this whole thing looking for a drawing.
nope.
Yes, and it was Director Yazbek's intent to make sure that our board had more input as to what was going to be in those specific drawings that you're talking about.
I mean, as a business owner on Washington, I would like to have some way for trucks to make deliveries, because they do block
Right.
the alley. Reason why it was almost late today, it's a problem. That road being closed permanently, it causes everyone to just back up on this other side.
Well, what I will say in terms of the scope of work that's in the presentation is, first of all, if you do pick them, they're simply going to go out and survey the area that's impacted, which is basically Fifth Avenue from Lafayette to Center Street. They'll do some geotechnical work on it, and then if you see in the proposal, they'll actually get public input on what needs to be there, and that would be the time for adjacent businesses that might be impacted to address their issue with the design team. And this is all prior to them doing the design. And you'll see the last kind of step is putting the design phase, or the design plans together, getting those blessed both by this body and by potentially the city commission because it's public right-of-way. The final phase would be after that design is done, would be putting together the construction documents and proceeding. So I believe there will be ample opportunity for input from everyone on what's included and what it looks like.
Okay. Director Yasmic first.
Yes, I will make the motion to approve this contract, a real reversal in attitude, with the provision that, as stated in their contract, they have a kickoff meeting scheduled, and I would include in my motion that the chairperson appoint a special committee of this board to be involved and participate in that kickoff meeting, and along the way, and bring it back to the full board at the intervals identified in the contract, 30%, 90%, or if the committee feels like something more is required. But just, so the motion to approve with the specific provision that a special committee be appointed to participate in the kickoff meeting and the process.
I
I
second.
have a motion by Director Yasmic, seconded by Director Rosbeck. Discussion.
So I guess I have a question with regards to Fifth Street. I mean, you've outlined, staff's outlined the 3 and 4. Is there a high likelihood of them not taking this opportunity for us to close the street to reopen it? I mean, are we putting the cart before the horse in terms of what the city commission would do to that street?
Just to piggyback on that, if you don't mind, I was going to ask a similar question to Mr. Twain here. I mean, by any action we take today, are we leaving open the possibility of whether or not the street will be open or closed, and will this contract direct Fleeson Vanderbeek to come back, and those be options that are brought back to us? Am I making myself clear?
Well,
Or are we, I think what Director Rosbeck is saying here is, are we making that decision that we're moving forward with opening the street by passing this resolution?
I don't believe you're making any decision on what the street looks like or what's included in it or what it ultimately gets to by hiring a design firm.
No, yeah.
You're simply hiring a design firm to move forward. You're selecting them over others to actually do this work.
Correct.
During that process, you're going to decide with the city commission's input that it either is partially opened, it's closed, it looks like X, or it looks like Y. I don't think any of the design decisions are being made based on what you're doing today.
No, I guess I wasn't thinking that. I fully expected that the DDA owns the design decisions around this street. I guess I was more concerned is, could the city commission come in and just
Say no.
create this as a non-starter for us? We've hired a design firm to do this work, and then they say, nope, we're going to keep this open. Or I guess that's my concern, is that, do we have an agreement by the city commission or by the engineering team, the engineers at the city, to state this is a good recommendation to keep this closed or partially closed? Because I'm reading here that this could still be an open issue, that this is not a closed street or even a partially closed street.
Well, and again, what I will point it back to is you decided to do the design work on the commercial space in the parking deck on 2nd and Center. Mm-hmm. That facility is owned by the city. The city commission does have final say on what's done with it. They did concur, and we will send along that you want to proceed with design services in this area and get the commission's buy-in before we start and sign a contract with Fleece and Vanderbroek, that they concur that they want to see that occur. You're correct, the city commission could look at the final design that you approve as a board and say, no, we don't want to do it that way, we want to do it another way. It's their right of way. So yes, that's your, and that's true of everything you basically do in the public right of way, whether it's the streetscape work or any other. It's if they disagreed or
Right. I guess I was just
so
looking
I'm
for.
hoping as we go through the steps of this, just like we did with the commercial space, you will see the initial concept drawings, concur with those. Those will go to the city commission and get their concurrence before we go to the next level of design. That they'll get opportunity all along.
Would we develop a special committee like we did for the Centennial Commons, and that we have a mix of DDA and commissioners too, so that we're not running afoul of anybody?
I mean, if you want to ask the commission to appoint somebody to it, that's fine. But it'll be up to them whether they actually do that or not.
Okay.
I would like for us, Director Rosbeck, I would like for us to take charge of that committee.
Oh,
totally. And if we want to bring whoever we want to bring on board, whether
Along
it
the
be,
way.
you know, that could be our decision to do that. But I do like your idea. I think and Mr. Twing has clarified it, at least for me, that we get the commissions, at least make them aware that we're going through this process before we get too long into the path here.
Do we need to amend our motion to let them know? Okay.
Okay. Are we good?
Just need a vote.
Okay. All right. That being said, there's a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. All right.
Do we have a second motion to be resolved?
No, it was on that item?
Yeah, because there's no parking.
That's a commission.
No, that was a
Oh,
commission's
that was the
action.
commission action, gotcha.
That was a commission action. Okay, the L-shaped alley.
This item was in front of the Infrastructure Committee at your October 3rd meeting. I did not attend that meeting, so I guess I'll start with some discussion on it in terms of what the options are for the DDA. I did attach some background information of what is the public alley, and you'll see that in the packet, as well as a survey that the DDA did pay for of the property. You'll see that laid out on an aerial. You did that earlier, and some recent pictures of the alley and the fact that it was recently repaved, at least a portion of it, when DTE finished their work regarding the Baker College site. I would also point out that the DDA has put some funding in your current fiscal year budget in case you wanted to proceed further with it. Where it was last left with the Infrastructure Committee, they did have meetings with the adjacent property owners. They did ask those property owners to come up with a comprehensive improvement plan that was agreed upon by all those property owners. As of this date, that plan has not been submitted or even brought forth. The city is in constant code enforcement action with getting dumpsters and refuge and other things in the alley, out of the alley, because of the disarray in the alley. But I think some of your options are to do nothing, and city code enforcement will continue. You could provide some funding to resurface the remainder of the alley that hasn't been dealt with, and that's the north-south portion primarily. And whether you do that in its current elevation, or whether some of the discussion in the past has been trying to match the back doors of some of the businesses, obviously that would take a lot more effort and design engineering to address where those doors are and how the storm water would run and come off of it, and it would take some infrastructure improvements as well, so that's a little farther, and that would require that you hire a design professional to do so. You could hire a design professional to coordinate a design for improvements of the alley, and you could proceed in just your portion or the city's public alley, or you could have that design professional and legal counsel coordinate something with adjacent property owners and businesses to prepare DINE and any legal documents to incorporate those improvements to enforce future activity in the alley going forward as well. I think that's kind of a broad brush. To my understanding, and again, Daniel, I wasn't at the meeting or the members of the committee, but there was no recommendation provided. It just was an update and to see if there was any directive the board wanted to give to staff or ask the committee to consider further, because this has been an ongoing issue. So I'll stop there and see if Daniel or whoever's on the committee wants to add anything.
That is correct that there was no formal recommendation. Some robust conversation as part of that committee, just relating to the public infrastructure is there and there's a need, and we just need to figure out which route we're going to take.
Okay, go ahead, Director London.
Is the purpose of legal counsel to have the tenants all play in the same team?
Yeah, let me just give you a little background from the infrastructure committee briefly. The alley is, a portion of it is the public alley owned by the city. And then there's other portions of it that's owned by the property owners. And there's multiple property owners. So there's issues with both. We had asked that at one point back a while ago that they come up with a design plan, the group come up with a design plan and bring it back to us, and we could see what we could do to help facilitate that. Well, that hasn't happened. My understanding from talking with some of the business owners is there is some litigation going on. I won't speak to it, but I've been told by at least 2 property owners that there's litigation happening between each other or something. So that has been an issue. So that being said, that was something that we as a committee decided we didn't not really want to get involved in any of that, so forth. So in our discussion, well, looking at the options that Mr. Twing has laid forth here, we don't consider number 1 to be the right path to go down, to do nothing, except for the city code enforcement. Will continue. We believe that should happen, as we've done with the other alleys in the downtown area. When we resurface them, we've put an extra effort into code enforcement to make sure that everybody was following the rules. The second option of providing funding to resurface the remainder of the public alley, I think is a good option. I think that that's all that these business owners have been asking us for when they have come before us and in other discussions with them. Hiring a design professional, I don't think option 4 is a good way to go. I think we're getting involved in city-owned property and private-owned property, and to get legal counsel and coordinate with the owners and the businesses. There hasn't been a good history of that, to my knowledge, and to think that that would happen now doesn't make sense. So in my discussion with the infrastructure committee is, we do think that something needs to be done.
Agreed.
There's holes and something, and I don't think just patching it is the answer. So I would look to resurface this property, or the city-owned property portion. Director Rosswig.
Are we risking though, and I can't tell by the drawings, I'll be frank, what is city-owned versus what is not. I'm gonna guess that there's a threshold around all of the buildings that's private, but are we risking legal action if we only touch the public portion of that alley? Meaning, if there already is litigation going on amongst the owners of these properties, us coming in and just saying, okay, we're going to touch the public lien, they could say you're causing more problems for their private portion of the alley.
I can address that in two ways. One is, basically what we would be doing is just replacing and repairing what's there now.
Okay.
Okay? So we wouldn't be doing any extra above and beyond that. And my second point would be, is I would argue that the opposite is true, that if we start getting involved with the pub or the private property, where we would be subject to
Legal action.
legal action, and there's other things involved in terms of handicap issues and things like that, the grade levels.
ACA, yep.
And each property is different in terms of their specific needs. So that would be my thought process on that.
If I can add a little bit to it, I wouldn't see it much different than what you did with the public alley between 4th and 3rd and 5th. There are two segments there. You did have a design professional that the city engineering department designed it, laid it out. Some of the issues there were touching private property, and there were agreements written to let that occur. That's a normal course of business. Where you get some of the requests that have occurred in this alley from property owners is doing shared compactors, placing a shared compactor or dumpster in some location. That's where you're going to get into legal documents that are going to get recorded, that are going to get put in against the properties, and some other things that are going to need to spell out on how that's taken care of and who's taking care of it, and who's responsible for it, and who can put what in it, and so on. The alignment with some of the back doors for handicap accessibility may or may not have to occur if we touch the alley. A lot of the ones along 3rd to 5th, if they had lips on them, the city designed it so they no longer did, and they met the requirements. So that's part of the design area. But there are a couple of back doors here that are 2 and 3 steps. And so that's quite a bit of an elevation. And do you really want to get into those expenses when you now have to raise the catch basin and change the stormwater flow?
Right.
Do you really want to go down that road and spend the money on it? Do you want to spend the design services on it without the property owner's involvement? Meaning some of this could get special assessed back to them if the expense is high, and do they want to agree to do that?
So I guess that was my next question. Is there assessments that could have been used to take on this work that we would have to, again, if you're not getting consensus from business owners, but this is a public right-of-way, the city owns some of it.
You could agree to do parts of it, and some of it could be special assessed. I mean, you could design it. I mean, there are, when you did Main Street streetscapes south of Lincoln, there were portions that were special assessed to the property owner, and the DDA picked up the lights and the stamped concrete portion. that's where it gets into, do you want to design this and have that legal document put together to say those things are occur? And you won't know that till you get the estimates and the costs and the design in.
Right.
Would that be done by city staff?
Well, the initial design, I can talk to the city engineer and see where it's in the schedule. Obviously, this isn't in their current capital improvements thing, but, you know, on the other hand, they do have 3 firms that are under retainer that, again, we can get proposals back from them in short order. But it's how far do you want to go, and that's kind of where I think the committee is struggling with and needs board input. How far do you want to go? What I'm hearing is there's no interest involving the private property at all. So there's no interest in encroaching. And if you look at this alley, you can see the red line is the shape of it. And the rest of the red line outlines the shape of the public alley. If you look at the aerial, you'll see that that kind of comes like in this shape and then down. There's a parking area behind the restaurant off of Lafayette. That's privately owned, and there's a parking area, private property on the north side of Stagecrafters. That's private property that's unpaved. Basically, you go over to this transformer in this city.
This is all the public.
This is private. So you would not be touching any of those.
How do we best get rid of, the dumpsters?
Pardon me?
The dumpsters, right? Are they all, if there's a dumpster?
All of those dumpsters don't belong out there.
So they're all in violation?
They're all in violation.
Okay. So that's just enforcement?
That's a constant code enforcement issue.
Yep.
That the private owners don't seem to want to comply with.
And you can't just remove them?
Oh, we have.
And they just
They
arrive?
just put another one back.
Oh,
We can
got
have
it.
DPS go out and pick them up, throw them away.
Interesting. Lori's
Oh, I'm sorry, Larry.
Sorry.
I don't think 2 goes far enough. I think it's just patchwork. It's just gonna be another, it's just like pushing this problem down the line. It doesn't solve.
Well, it is a resurfacing, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
It is a resurfacing, it's not just patching.
Well, I think
But
we need to,
we could, I mean, I guess what,
I'm leaning towards 3.
yeah, 3 maybe it sounds like Tim thinks that might be an option for us anyway, in terms of dealing with the city engineering department, or whether we would get bids to have somebody come out anyway.
I really think that, I think 3 is a great idea. I also think, I mean, maybe the coercion of a special assessment will help people fall in line quicker. So you could do something better in this alley, because I agree with Director London. Doing just the resurfacing of the public alley is not, it's going to cause the deterioration of everything else potentially faster. And we're just going to be back at this in another year or 2. I just don't think that's the right thing to do, and I don't think 1 is the right thing to do either. But
Tim, can we, I'm sorry, Tim,
Sorry.
can we move forward with hiring a professional design team and then look at some options?
Well, what I'll do is ask the city engineer where they are in their scope of work. And then, just like we did for 5th Street, we'll ask for proposals from the 3 that are under current retainer with the city to do design services here, and we'll bring that back to you to look at what that cost is going to be, and you can bless that, and then we can deal with coming up with a design and a cost estimate based on that design, and you can decide whether you want to fund the entire amount or whether you want to say to the property owners, we're going to do blank. Do you want to, if you want something else, you got to pony up some special assessment. But until you get the actual cost, I don't know that you can make that decision or request. So, no, we'll go back and we'll get those numbers, we'll take it to the committee, and then we'll bring it back to you at a future meeting, if you're in concurrence with that.
Do you feel like I can make that motion?
I don't even know if we need a motion for
No.
that.
No, we
We're just
don't?
gonna,
Okay.
No.
Table it.
okay, is everybody good with that item?
Yep.
Okay.
I appreciate it coming back in front of us.
Okay, 2022, 2023 advertising plan updated. This is Daniel.
Yes. So this went before the committee. Essentially what this does is takes that media buying plan that this board blessed back in April, removes theater advertising, adds one more section of Xfinity streaming advertising, and then also adds what's called a 2-page advertorial into a city guide that's put by Our Media, which would go in about 10,000 hotel rooms in the Metro Detroit area. This was unanimously supported for recommendation. And then one final thing, this also includes resolutions in here for the actual purchases for the next streaming campaign with Xfinity, as well as the actual $2,500 purchase from Our Media.
Okay,
I bring a motion.
you may.
I second.
Motion by Director London, second by Director Rosswick.
Are you approving all three,
Yes.
just as one motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, is everybody clear on that? We're taking action on those 3 resolutions?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Establishment of mural grant program.
This is an item
Daniel.
that has gone to the infrastructure committee a couple times, twice during the summer, and then one final time this last October meeting, and was unanimously approved for recommendation. Essentially what this does is creates a mural grant program that mirrors our facade grant program. It would provide a 50-50 match or $5,000 towards the cost of public murals to be put on buildings by the property owners or businesses working with their property owners. The goal behind this program is to hopefully foster more art in the downtown area and remove some of the burden from property owners as far as paying for those artists to come in and install those. As a caveat to this, applicants seeking for these funds would have to go to the Commission for the Arts first, and then the City Commission, get it deemed as public art, and then would be able to apply with the DDA for funding. Once it is installed, we would be reimbursing similar to the facade grant program. On a note of murals and public art, they are seen as one of the best placemaking strategies. Anywhere you go around the world at this point, there's public murals that folks love to take photos in front of, post online, and it creates a free marketing buzz that folks love to come out and see in person.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have,
You make-
deal with the motion here. Motion by Director Keith,
I second.
second by Director Rosswick. Director Rosswick?
My question is, the Give Thanks Bakery wanted to create a mural around their own
Logo.
facade in the back and in the front, and it was a logo, yes, but it was beautifying what was seen. Well, let me just finish.
Sorry.
So what was seen as like our city, we chose not to do that, or we chose not to allow that, and we have variances around the city that don't allow us to do this. So I don't know, are we getting, I would love to, I want this to happen, but I feel like our city does not have the appetite for this.
And that precise situation is exactly why we put in the process as far as receiving artwork approval first, so that the DDA is not getting into a sticky situation that says, well, we approved this mural for funding, but then the Commission for the Arts doesn't approve it for artwork approval. And that's why the process is laid out the way that it is. In fact, in speaking with the owner of Give Thanks Bakery earlier today, They are looking to potentially come back with a different mural idea, and got some parameters from the Commission for the Arts that they would still be able to incorporate things like wheat grains or different things without it being their exact logo.
Okay.
It needs to be able to stand on its own forever, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't, because then you have a bunch of outdated signage.
Well, let me add a little. The city sign ordinance, because of a Supreme Court ruling several years ago that indicated the city can't read a sign to determine it's a sign. Everything that you put on your building is considered a sign, whether it's painted on, whether or not. And so the procedure that was set up was, in order to allow murals to occur, was the sign ordinance said if the city determined it was public art, then it's not a sign. And that's why it goes through the Arts Commission to the City Commission to get dealt with in that fashion.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Makes sense. Lori?
I just want to add that public art brings more people to any city more than anything else besides public transportation. So I love this program, but I don't like it's all the steps someone has to go through to get approval.
Correct.
I think it's going to be a deterrent. I know in Detroit, I don't know the approval process, but they have a whole week of murals in Eastern Market, and it's a whole big festival. So if it could grow, it'd be wonderful for the city.
I think Eastern Market has a separate corporation that allows them to do that versus Midtown. They have to actually get the CNN to do the viaducts and things like that. So, nope, I love this.
Yeah, I love it too. I hope people go through all the steps.
Well, maybe by our action, we could stir the pot a little bit and see if...
I have an alley behind my store, someone can paint for me.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table currently. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, getting down there. Downtown dollars. Daniel?
So similar to years past, there's been recycling of YIFT dollars that are in the account, and then the DDA coordinates what's called a BOGO program. So essentially, a consumer could buy a $25, $50, or $100 gift card, and then the DDA would kick back a bonus gift card to them of equal value. Essentially, this would upcycle the Arts Beats and Eats carryover, which is estimated to be around $46,000. As part of the budgeting process, this board also approved of budgeting $105,000 for this specific line item, which brings a total to $151,000 that can be used for this program. In working with the provider YIFT, this is something that they're fully prepared to do and is something they do in many communities.
I would like to make a motion to approve.
I second.
Motion by Director Rosbeck, second by Director London. All the systems are in place?
Yes.
I hope so.
Yes, we talked extensively about that.
Additionally, just real quick, the difference between this and the Arts Beats and Eats bonus dollars is the Arts Beats and Eats was geared only to retailers. And so to engineer something like that, and this is covered in the report, but to engineer something like that, we had to get what's called a sub-portal, which led to some delays in the activations. This would be coming from our main portal that's been active for about 3 years now and already has the 70-plus storefronts that are enrolled. And so we shouldn't have any hiccups with this.
When does this program begin?
So the gear would be not to put an official release date because this tends to sell out
Yeah,
really
I
quickly,
gotcha.
but would be aimed for right before Thanksgiving.
With an expiration date of February 28th.
Yes, and the quick expiration date, rather than doing the end of June and shifting it to February, is due to storefronts in downtown Royal Oak. Anecdotally, if you speak to most of them, they'll say that their slow months are January and February, and this is meant to infuse some dollars into that economy.
Okay. Director Keith.
Does this, if you have a same email address that you participated before, do they still get the opportunity to do the BOGO?
Yes, however, as part of this, one bonus gift card per email address.
Correct. Yep.
So essentially one per person. We wouldn't be allowing somebody to buy 10 $100 gift cards and then us kicking 10 $100 gift cards back to them.
Right.
Okay.
Do we know if Consumers Energy is going to run their program?
I have not heard of anything. However, related to that previous issue where it was difficulty in coordinating this program and coordinating that program, a lot of that is just due to it takes extra man hours to be able to shift the expiration dates and shift the different lists that it equates to. And kind of difference this year is I'm very in depth with the EFD program, and so I can offer my expertise as well with EFD.
Great.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 16, Small Business Saturday. Daniel?
Yeah, so this is another one of these memos that has multiple resolutions in it, and kind of breaks down into a couple different subcategories. So the first being the custom ornaments that this DDA has done historically in the past. Based on feedback, the design is in here as far as the Starry Night design. Basically would purchase 5,000 ornaments that would be distributed to retailers as well as different businesses that operate retail functions. So that would be like your Motor City Gas, your Goldfish Tea, service areas, but they also have a retail function that folks could utilize on Small Business Saturday. And this would create it to where anybody who spends $50 or more in one transaction would get this free ornament brought to you by the DDA. As a means to get folks out there and spending money at our retailers on Small Business Saturday. The companion piece to that would be a passport program. So anybody who spends minimum $25 at 4 different retailers on that day, they could come pick up their passport. They would get it basically filled out real quick or stamped by these 4 different stores, and then they would be entered to win a $2,500 shopping spree, essentially. Essentially taking that first shopping spree giveaway program that we did, mirroring it, upping the amount, limiting the amount that we're giving out, and creating a scarcity to where folks are going to be more often likely to go to these 4 retailers, spend that money that day, get entered to win, hopefully, those big bucks. Finally, the additional portion to it is the hot beverage station. So essentially setting up an HQ for DDA where we would be able to partner with different local businesses that sell hot beverages. And rather than going outside of the city to purchase these from like Detroit coffee roasters, we would purchase directly from coffee shops here in the district. Offer those free of charge, and then partner with different restaurants or different businesses to where if somebody wanted to have deals or coupons or things of that sort to promote their business that day as well, we would feature that there. And then of course I've got some feelers out to see if we can't get some sponsorships to come alongside of us and have a couple activities side by side with us on the closed portion of 5th Street. And then of course everything comes with a cost for signage and advertising, and so that's broken down in here as well.
Okay.
Please also note that the third resolution, due to the committee didn't necessarily have a recommendation on design / imprint color / bulb color, so there's a couple blanks in there for what color ornaments with what color imprint you want to do, because we can really do that imprint in on any of those colors that are listed.
Okay, so this has been through marketing. Looks like
I'd like to make a motion for all the resolutions to be approved.
I'm seeing 4 resolutions here, is that correct?
Oh, I again,
Now that's the hard part.
I was going to say, I was going to leave the color up to Daniel.
I agree, I support all that.
Pass the buck.
Trying to wait on your shoulders.
That's all I got to say.
Screw it up.
We'll be throwing them at you.
No pizza.
They're shatterproof.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so I have a motion by Director Roswick, seconded by Director London, which includes the 4 resolutions before us. Any discussion? Questions?
This has been the most comprehensive plan I have seen to date while sitting on this board for Small Business Saturday, and I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
Daniel's taken, he has really brought this, I think we're gonna have a successful Small Business Saturday. I think that his details around, even Shop Royal, while we could improve on that one a little bit, it was a really great idea. It was executed well, and I'm excited for Small Business Saturday.
Especially if you think of the parking situation.
When is that?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Seeing nothing, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes.
The ornaments will be black with white imprint.
The black and white looks cool.
Okay, item 17, scheduled date time for discovery session.
Siren has been looking to do their annual discovery session. The memo that I included in the packet indicated the week of October 24th. Apparently that's not going to work now, so it's been pushed back to either November 11th, 2nd, or November 3rd. Are dates that are open for Siren at this point, or you got to start looking in the following week, but they're looking for a day to have a discovery session with the board. They'd like to start at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I guess we're looking for a decision on the board of what works.
You said you had specific dates?
November 1st, 2nd, or 3rd is what Siren updated, or they can look at the following week, but then you're into the election week and some things like that. But what they would like is 2 o'clock or 4. But
do we know if consumer marketing or infrastructure will be also meeting?
We're supposed to meet November 1st, I believe. I will be out.
The 1st?
Marketing, yeah, I will be out of town. I'll be in Texas.
I believe we could do that during our committee meeting.
Well, I was thinking of if we could attach it somehow before or after, or because we can only have so many members
Right.
Oh, true.
Right. Which
for whatever, but I thought if we could combine it, I mean, since we're here anyway, or some of us are
I'm
here,
good with trying to keep it around those two.
what do you think?
well, if everybody wants to attend, I'm just going to notice it as a work session.
Right.
I don't have to attend.
Well, that's fine with me. Or we can take it to the marketing
For the team,
committee.
And I
take
won't-
one.
I
I'll
won't
take one for
want
the
to use
team.
the marketing committee. I won't be
So.
there.
Why don't we do
Consultant
this?
asking to meet with you about a discovery session, so.
Why don't we do this? Let's schedule it during the period of the marketing committee. Maybe they could bump it up to 4 o'clock or something, if that's possible, for
Yeah.
the committee members. And then depending on how many people attend, if anybody wants to join in on that discovery session, we'll have to let Tim know in advance so he can keep track of the numbers and whether we have to post it or not post it. Okay?
All right.
So,
That's good.
So the normal marketing committee meeting, try to, at 4 o'clock? Mm-hmm. Okay.
on November 1st.
Right.
Okay.
Could I make a comment on Shop Royal?
Go right ahead.
Okay. I did attend Shop Royal. I thought it was good. I saw all the social media around it. I did talk to some business owners about how busy they were. Some were busy, some were not. Some were very creative and offered beverages to their customer, which I appreciated. But I did have one business owner say, we should have really called this a girls' night out and included the restaurant association with this.
We tried to.
And I didn't know if that occurred or not, but I think calling something, I liked our Shop Royal, but I think calling it a GNO probably would have caught more people's attention than being smart with our naming convention potentially. But that was all I mean, I purposely went around and asked retailers what they were getting in terms of, I did my Christmas shopping, and some were very busy, some really enjoyed, I heard profusely on Washington, they like the support they're getting from the DDA and the downtown manager, which was great. Some still want us to do more, which is also great, but I appreciated hearing that.
I think we tried to tie it in with the restaurant week and the restaurant association said no.
Essentially, this was originally pitched as a two-part program to do Restaurant Week and then Shop Royal. The Restaurant Association said October was already a month that they didn't need it to help prop up their business, and so we said we're going to move forward with the shopping weekend as a standalone event, and then Restaurant Week will be explored at late January, early February, during what they considered to be their slower times.
So we could do a GNO that week and not ask them
Yes,
permission.
GNOs are not out of the question. The intent of not calling this one a GNO is simply because Berkeley had a GNO, I believe, a week before.
Yeah.
And also we wanted to appeal to more than just the girls.
Gotcha.
I mean, I did okay. It wasn't a great weekend for me. It was an okay weekend. But we were completely dead late, so we closed early.
And a lot of places did close early because they didn't realize that they were told that they should be open later, or they weren't. And I know that's not true, but.
Yeah, but if you're at the store at 8 to 9, no one's walking in. Why see it at 10?
Right. So, no, I think what we did was good.
Good first try. We just need it more.
We need to do more of it.
Yeah.
That's all. That's my,
Okay.
in my
Thank you.
opinion, segment.
Okay, so the last thing on the agenda, we have 4 reports that have been supplied for you.
Just info.
Yeah, just info. Does anybody?
Can I touch on the Arts Beats and Eats?
Sure.
So at the September meeting, I brought to you preliminary results from the redemptions of Arts Beats and Eats. I believe the redemption rate I told you then was 24 and 27.5%. Following that meeting on the 20th, within the last 11 days until they technically expired, we saw redemption go up to 50%. And so it's mirroring kind of what the intent was as far as, are folks using it necessarily the weekend of Arts Beats and Eats? No. But are they coming back to Royal Oak to utilize it? Yes.
That was a great call, Daniel.
Good. Thank you, Daniel.
Great work.
Thank you.
Yes.
No.
We're all here to support Daniel's ego today.
That's right.
It doesn't need it.
You know you did a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, so the rest of the reports on here are for your information. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring to the board at this time?
I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Director Roswick,
Second.
second by Director London. Discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes and we are adjourned.
18 items. Hour and a half.
That's a big agenda.